welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a book review, a long anticipated book review, at least for me. So today we are reviewing Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. I think sentences, phrases in between the title read A Ghost Ship, A Salvage Crew, Unspeakable Horrors. And like this cover is what originally got me. I saw like the picture and I was like, is it like a mummy in space? Are we underwater? Like, what is this? And I had just finished reading a book where they're like in space, so I was very much intrigued by that like genre kind of book. Um, and so I was like, I wouldn't mind reading another one. And then I wanted something spooky because I have been just craving like spooky books and stuff. And this one just like seemed like it checked all the boxes. Like it's ghost in space. At least that's what I thought. Um, but it very much is kind of ghost in space. Like it just you have to read it for me to like fully like explain it, which is what this review is gonna be. But right now, this is the no spoiler section. At least I try to do no spoiler section in the beginning, before I start blabbing off about it. So I read about the author, and I read the back, and the author is a high school librarian who writes part time, and then I thought that was really cool. And when I read the synopsis on the back, I was like, okay, I'm sold. Like, we got people in space, we got like a haunted ship, we got voices in the head, we got dystopian, futuristic. Like, I'm in. Um, I will say though, since it is space, and it is like a dystopian novel, there are certain like terms, and like new like I guess phrases and company names and stuff because it's set like in the future, that there is, and I didn't really like know too much. They did like explain to an extent, and I feel like all dystopian like books, like you can either explain a lot or you can just kind of like ease it in and hope for the best and see if it works. And I think that's like what happened with this one. I think it's like, okay, it works. It's not that I have to know everything about it, but just the gist of it. But like it was enough to like keep me like, oh, okay, I know what that is. I don't know like everything, but like I understand what you're referring to. So this book, it starts off with, we are in space with this crew, and I guess they like, I'm not quite sure what they do. They like, I guess, get goods and they like take them back to Earth, or like they're sent on missions up in space to like. It's essentially just like going to space, getting like, yeah, like like is this whole like trading thing in space, but we go, but it's only Earth and space, but there's like no other planets. It's just kind of like, I guess, I'm not too sure, but I was like, okay, we're up in space, and um, they're in this tiny little ship, and it's a crew of I think 4 or 5. And there is the captain who has this like whole big past of like she can secretly see ghosts, but she is not sure. The people who like were with her and everything like are not sure. Some people think that she's crazy, but that's why it's kept on like on the down low. So she was like in this like space like harvesting like science laboratory thing with her mom, and they had like taken her away from Earth because apparently she was seeing the ghost of her dead dad. um and so then they go there and there's an outbreak of like this horrible like disease, sickness, and there's a quarantine section, and her mom like lived in the certain section, and then there's a section where those who were sick, um and so she decides to across the line because she sees a girl on the other side saying it's okay, like come, it's safe, and she's little, so she doesn't know any better. And this is the girl of like who's her friend, but it's at this point the ghost of her friend because her friend is already dead. Um, and I don't know if she finds that out later or before. So then she comes back and ends up contaminating people. She herself does not catch it. I don't know if she was immune. I don't know. I don't know what happened. But she gets her mom sick. Her mom ends up dying, and then she was just like left there, like alone, like trying like to figure out how to get off of this place. And there's like nobody, like, because it's in space. And the ghost of her dead mom was like telling her like how to send out a beacon. Like, I wish this was a whole like little mini section, like, because this sounds like a whole spooky thing in itself, separate from this. And she can also like see her mom like rotting corpse and everything, and I'm just like, I am all for this. Not for that, but like it's just like gruesome and spooky, and I'm just like, I'm living for it. And so then that's her past. She gets found. She's the only survivor. Like, people are wondering like, how did she get off? She tells the story and everything, obviously because she's little. Like, she doesn't know that later on all these people are gonna judge her and criticize her. And so because of this, they uh like they're like, well, she's the only survivor, like, we gotta take care of her. And somehow like she ends up being taken care of and gets like a job training in the system, but everyone's still kind of looking at her weird. It's like, like, it's that kind of thing. And so then she gets a job being basically a captain. And like, there's like higher jobs, like she's like in the low, like captain of like a minimum kind of wage kind of ship, like middle class. Like, they're struggling to survive and meet ends meet. They've got family back home. And so they are finishing up their last like mission, and then they're gonna get to go home, and then that's it, because they're like, I guess time is like done, and like they can't like work anymore. And so then they get a distress beacon of a ship that was like a cruise ship, like in space, that went missing years ago. And they go and investigate, and turns out it is that ship, because like the distress beacon was like on a different channel, and somehow like they found it and everything. They go, they find like the remains of all the people that were like living there. The ship is like empty, like, and there's like people frozen, like, um and just like blood and like stuff clawed into, like, it's a ghost ship basically, like it's abandoned, other than the fact that there's dead bodies, but like there's like no living soul around. And does that mean it's abandoned? Not necessarily, because there are still, like, but they're dead anyway. um so they go on there, and they're just like, what happened in here, like. And so essentially they're like, okay, well, we could report it, or we could like bring back pieces of it, because like it could be worth millions and this and that. And they decide, okay, so we're going to head to Earth and like show them that, we found it and everything, get whatever reward it is, and like, essentially, like, win their like prize money, even though there's like no prize, like, but people are looking for these wealthy people that were on the ship that are now like dead, and they don't know what happened to them. And so they're like, okay, so at first they were going to like bring pieces of the ship, but then they decide, okay, we're gonna bring the whole ship and everything, and like, but at the same time they're wondering like why these people, because clearly these people like killed each other or themselves, like what caused havoc. They find clues and everything, and then slowly but surely they all end up going crazy, because they don't want to get whatever this is, and they do. They start seeing things, they start hearing things of people that are dead, of people that are not dead, of each other. and it's just gloriously spooky, and you're just like wondering like what in the world is going on. Is it ghosts? Is it, there's like they're throwing out, is it aliens? Is, because like there's no aliens in this world even though we're in space. Is it this? Is it that? And then this book does something where it like takes like what happened, and then like it's future like Claire, who is the captain, like basically telling the story to the people that later find her. um and she has no idea like how she got out. And so like they're trying to figure out what happened and everything, and like blaming her, and like it's all like this like, it's like not good cop bad cop, there's like two people. It's like bad cop and like worse cop. It's and one of them is like one of the people who was like there with her and for her like after she got out of the first situation. So it's like she's like, I don't know what's going on, like, and then she's seeing like dead people. She's seeing her crewmates dead, and she's not sure if they are dead. She knows one for sure is dead because he killed himself right in front of her. That was like the first one, and then after that, she got knocked in the head and doesn't remember the rest. I thought they were gonna tell more. Like, I wanted to know more as to what had happened, but not apparently. Like, when we get to like the ship later, like, and the one guy who survived, and like her like love interest, like he like doesn't even really remember. And it was just like, but I want to know why this happened, like why these two people like, okay, we know, we kind of figure out what we want, but it's like one of them clawed their eyes out, and I'm just like, okay, I can figure out kind of what happened, but why? Like, I want to, like, cuz she the captain has like a faint memory of like her going into the room and like tearing her eyes out. So maybe that happened like right in front of her. I'm not sure. Like when she was like wounded, I'm not sure. But there was like two people that were like left, and like left to figure out, and then somehow she ended up in an escape pod, and she ended up back on Earth and not knowing what had happened. And then she was like given pills and stuff, and so that even like that made it even more harder for her to like remember. And so it's like a couple of chapters of like what happened, then go back to the like the interrogation, her in the hospital and everything. And then we are like, I think maybe 3/4 of the way through the book, and then we are fully like after it happened. And they are like, okay, we're going on the ship, and you are going to essentially like lead us, and so that way we can figure out what happened to these people and to your crewmates, and if we can charge you for murder because they suspect that she murdered them because there was something to gain or whatever. And so and then they go, and they like end up finding the guy who ends up being alive in a room full of mattresses to like drown out like the sound that is essentially causing all this that they figured out. Because so there is like a machine in the engine room of the ship that was turned on that has a certain frequency that like drives people insane. And like apparently with like the new materials of the ship and everything, it only made it worse. And the people who put it in there are the people who manufactured the ship, and it's a whole money thing. And it's like so they won't have to like make more of those ships. But I don't understand because like those ships would just make you okay. I didn't really understand that part, but like the one of the guys, the guy who Claire like knew from the prior incident, he was like essentially like with them, and his job was to destroy all evidence of this. So like I guess like it was, they brought her on to like sort of like just scope around. They didn't find anything, take her back, or like maybe put her like find the device or whatever. I don't know what their plan initially was, but like the way it worked out was that like they said it was perfect, that basically like she found the person, and so then they're going to steal this thing because they want this thing intact and they want to use it again. And so then they're gonna take the thing and they're gonna blow up the ship with her and everyone, and they're gonna say like, oh, it was her who did this and blah blah blah. So I think it was something revolving around that, but I'm not quite sure. And then they leave the other guy who was interrogating her because he was like next in line, and so it was just like, well, let's leave this guy, like he annoys me. And because like they were like constantly at odds and everything, and like he is like going crazy and like being like, this can't happen, this and that. And then one minute Claire is helping him and they're like trying to escape and everything. Then he like turns his back on them and like he's going crazy because of the sound, because lowered like they lowered something. I think it was like they turned off the lights or like the volume of something. They like increased it in like the main deck, and like so he went even more crazy. Like the people who like were on the ship, because they brought all these like security guards and everything. Like they weren't planning on like getting the bodies and bringing them back home. Like they just wanted to destroy the ship, and so they were going crazy and everything. And like then we have this final showdown between Claire and the other guy who she ripped one of his eyes out, and then Max, who was the guy that like basically like was the traitor. And then basically uh Claire ends up shooting a window open. He flies away into space. She's like attached to like a harness thing. She ends up going like in the ship with her like friend lover person, because they only had like one or two intimate moments, but they kissed, and so it just was like, okay, you guys are gonna end up together clearly, but you also are friends. And like he like is he when he was found, he like was not like aware of anything, so like the fact that he's like helping, like it's just like he doesn't know, he's talking to himself. It's like, what is happening? And then when they get off like the ship and they're away from the noise, like because she thought he was never going to be the same again, he like slowly but surely like starts coming back, and like he like explains certain things that he remembers and stuff like that, and like reassures her. And then we go like to the future like 6 months later, and she's like getting a new ship. She was able to like prove what had happened and like get like a deal and like money and stuff. And um so she like now is like a captain like of her own like ship. She needs a crew, and she hires like the other person. Like now I guess they're together, but like, they also were like not really talking for like 6 months, like, but then they kind of like were, but it was like kind of like, and he has like a daughter that like has been on Earth this whole time that he's been wanting to get back to and everything. And so I don't know why he would agree to go on, but okay, that's his, you know. And I guess essentially they get together like at the end when he's like yes, but like so I don't know. Um I still really liked it. There's still like parts of it where I was just like, I'm not quite sure, but I like it. And so yeah, they're going and they're gonna do who knows what in space, but they're not gonna get themselves into whatever happened the first time again. Um, hopefully. But yeah, like so, like she kind of came to the conclusion that she saw ghosts because she was seeing like different things other than other people, and like she like saw them like outside of the ship and before and everything. But and that kind of like helped her, and then like also didn't help her, and it was kind of a coincidence that everyone else was now seeing things. So it was just like this whole kind of like a big mystery thing, but like that's like her thing. um and then like she sees her dead mom like in times when she's like of stress and needs help, but her mom was of no help this time. She just kind of was just like screaming and stuff, and I was like, what is the mom's purpose? Like she just comes and just like screams. And then apparently the ghost things can like touch them, and that was never explained, because I think she got bit by one. It's like they can touch us, but it's like she like had like blood, and like I was just like, how is that possible if it's just your mind? I'm like, was that an actual ghost that bit you? Like I am confused. But yeah, overall I liked it. And I would recommend it. I'm definitely gonna check out more from this author. I love her writing style. And it just like the characters, like one of the crewmates, she was just like really sweet and young, and like, like it was like her first job, and she was just like you didn't want her to die, and then like she was the one who was like going through all this like horrific stuff and everything. And then there was like one that was like super curious about the world, and like one that was a jokester. Like they had each of their own little personalities, which I loved, and like brought like stuff to the book. So those are my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see y'all real soon. Bye.